upcycling closes, it's always really scary. It's always really scary to do your first cuts, but you've just got to steam in there and do it. So here we go. I'm just going to cut along this line, which will hopefully be the same on the other side as well. Yeah, that's good. Because my final length, I want to be about there. So I want a good hem for me to be able to come along and do a bit of twin needle. Now, before you do the twin needle, I can really recommend you pressing it first. Now, for my top today, I'm also going to steam stretch it out. I want it to be a bit more A-line. So first of all, I'm going to start stretching the top, because I definitely want more of an A-line look. So first of all, I'm going to start sort of steaming and stretching. Now, can you see how easily it stretches? So you've got to be a little bit careful that you don't get too carried away when you do it. But can you see that side's kind of gone out a bit A-line? So I'm going to do the same on the other side. Now, I think it's probably a good idea to do it on both sides. You get the same amount of stretch on both sides. Look, I'm stretching it and flattening it. But I don't know if you've noticed, I'm not actually doing it around the bust area, because I want it to fit around the bust area and then be stretched further down. Right, and then once you're happy with the amount of stretch that you've created, then it's time for you to press your hem. Now, we've got lines, so that's going to help us. Now, I want a little bit of blue to show, but not too much. So press your hem, going all the way round. Be careful not to burn your fingers. So it should look like that. So do that all the way around. So look, just so you can get an idea. So there's the hem. I actually pressed it from the reverse side as well, because just to stop it from curling. But can you see how we've created a little bit of flounce there? So now it's time to twin needle that hem. By the way, absolutely do not throw away that fantastic ribbing, okay? That's really important, because we're going to use that. Now, I've already threaded up my machine with a twin needle, because I have a sewing tutorial already on how to use a twin needle. Now, when you do twin needle, you sew from the top, which is how I actually do hems anyway, without using pins. It's the best way. So you're going to have to feel for where your hem is, but it's, you know, it's quite easy. You can easily feel where the hem is. Now, I would say begin a little bit past the side seam. It's not good to begin where you get a bit of bulk. And then just take your time. Now, twin needle stretches because underneath it's a zigzag, all right? So don't worry about having to stretch your fabric too much, but I would stretch it just a little bit, only a little bit though. And feel where your hem is underneath and try and stay straight. Now just go all the way round doing that. Now when I do twin needle, I don't like to finish off by going backwards and forwards because, I don't know, sometimes it kind of knots up all the threads. So I just over sew along the line of where I've sewn before. And that seems to be enough to hold it. Now actually, have a look. Now that is pretty good, isn't it? And then when we press it, it looks even more professional. Now that I'll definitely wear. Of course you could leave it like this, but oh, look, this gorgeous ribbon. How can I let this ribbon go to waste? I unpicked the edge just to see if I had a nice raw edge there, but I couldn't do it well enough. So it seems that if I just cut down in the grooves of the ribbing, that the edge is clean enough. So I'm quite happy with that, especially by the time it goes back like that. Now I could do all sorts of things with this. I could create a little bow, couldn't I, up there at the front, which would be quite pretty. Before I do anything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how much stretch I can get out of this edge, because then I think it will look more flouncy. So to do that, I'm going to use the iron again with some steam. So let's see. So what we do is we don't go all the way to the end when we stretch. We do like that inch, about an inch out there. And I'm using lots of steam, and I'm sort of pulling it around as if I'm pulling it around a circle, but just that edge. Now you can keep doing it, just keep going around and stretching it a little bit more and a little bit more, but just on the edge, okay? Now when you're happy that you can get as much stretch as you can out of it, in theory, when it goes in a straight line, it should be kind of flouncy. Now I love a bib front. So you're not going to be surprised that I quite like the way that's looking. I'm leaving this leftover stuff because I want to use it somewhere else. So cutting up very carefully, cutting down one of the grooves of the ribbing there. I'm just going to release the other part and have a little think about how I can make this work. I like the blue being there, but I don't want the frayed edge. So if we put the blue edge together and just stitch those two together, let's see how that looks. Right, so put your fabric right sides together and a small centimetre, I'm doing about ½ centimetre. So I might actually want to gather it a bit as well. So let's have a look. Squidge it a bit as I go along, so I can get that flouncy look. Now I quite enjoy the challenge of upcycling and, you know, having a limited amount of fabric to work with and making the most of it, because it really pushes your creativity. So I don't know if this is going to work, but I've got a feeling it will. So open up those seams and give them a good old press, but try not to flatten it too much on the sides. So I'm going to fold back the bits at the end and scrunch it up a bit. And then just press it again in the middle. Now I do want to know where the middle is, so I'm just going to fold over my top, line up everything so I can get where the middle is. Give it a good old press just in the middle. See, we get that pressed line there as a guide. So if I put that on there. So squidge up your gathering to whatever amount you want it to be. Now before you do hand sew it or sew it with the machine, can you do this? Because your life will be so much easier. Ooh. So there you go. So just in that middle bit, it will be glued. Now it's just a matter of if you're going to hand sew it into place or machine sew it, but ooh, I think I'm going to machine sew it. Right, I know that this isn't going to receive any stretch here, so I don't need to do a zigzag stitch or anything. So I'm just going to use a nice straight stitch. I'll go backwards and forwards for the beginning, and I'm trying really hard to sew on the border of the blue and the grey. I'm just going to take my time and hopefully it'll be fine. And always make sure you're not sewing through 2 layers. You don't want to sew through the back. Okay, I'm at the corner of the blue. I'm just going to pivot the needle, turn around. And then come up the other side. I really am pleased with that. By the time I had these teeny weeny little buttons on, oh, I think it's going to be lovely. Look at that. You may need to do like a little stay stitch just underneath there and underneath there, like that, so it doesn't keep flapping over. But pretty good, huh? Now don't forget, we still have this stuff, so we can possibly slash into there and add some little frilly bits in there, which I might do as well. So there we go. I really know that I'm going to wear this low.